Hi, I'm Jules Hussey and I am a television drama producer. I am 52 years of age. I went to Toot Hill Comprehensive School many years ago in Nottinghamshire. I'm a sibling carer. I'm a charity trustee. I'm a biker. I've been a biker for 34 years. And I'm currently series producing a 4-part drama for BBC One and Netflix. So you'll notice that I did that in a very odd order. I didn't talk about my job first. I talked about myself first and my life experiences. And I feel in any job, and specifically in the creative industries, it's really important to think about what else you bring to the role. My role as a carer of a disabled sibling, even as a biker, really influence and change how I do my job on a day-to-day basis. So always think beyond your job title. It's really important to have that lived experience no matter what you do in our industry. And I found recently, I've had people say to me, what do you do? And I say, I'm a TV drama producer. And they have literally looked me up and down in my shorts and t-shirt and said, you're a drama producer? I don't know what they expect. There's all sorts of producers. There's all sorts of designers. There's all sorts of DOPs. It's an incredibly flexible and welcoming, could be more welcoming, but a welcoming industry. All sorts of people. So don't think that you don't fit the type. There is no type. It's about what you can bring to the role. So I've come through quite an odd path to this industry, although I did do a degree in film. But in those days at Stirling University, a degree in media. It was mainly theory. I think I touched a camera possibly twice. So incredibly different. I did English and film as my degree. The weird thing about my progression is I then won a scholarship from the creator of Dallas, and I ended up at UCLA Film School and living in Los Angeles for a year. So that really was the start of my awareness of where I might go with my job. I worked as a runner, which is really how you'd expect the entry level to start as the career progression, but I worked as a runner on Baywatch, so slightly different. I then came back and applied for a job as an administrative assistant at the British Film Institute, but that enabled me to work with new talent like Shay Meadows, Lynn Ramsey, Carol Morley, Andrea Arnold, some amazing talent who, you know, are showing in our cinemas regularly these days. And that really opened up my eyes. I went freelance. I was only employed for 3 years, and from that point on I've been entirely freelance. I worked up through an assistant in documentaries. I then worked in drama documentaries, and that really gave me a taste for drama. And I was lucky through connections to then be offered the role as a line producer, which is the person who kind of manages the budget and the day-to-day running and basically make sure it happens. I line producer on a series of Silent Witness. And that series of Silent Witness was my first foray into working in what we now call high-end TV drama. So I worked for several years as a line producer, or many years as a line producer, on series like Call the Midwife, 90-minute BAFTA award-winning drama Complicit, The Nativity, which was a series for BBC One about the birth of Jesus that strangely shows most Christmases. I worked on just such an amazing array of stuff, and then I wanted to produce. And interesting thing to remember is the next word that I say. Connections got me the opportunity to produce a 90-minute drama for BBC One called The Ark, about Noah. A slightly different take on the Noah story, but took me out to Morocco again. I've travelled to some amazing places through my work. It's just been such a fortunate experience. So I produced that, and I've been producing ever since. Produced Barbara Windsor's biopic. I produced out in Cape Town on a series called Hooten and the Lady. I'm thrilled to have produced the last ever series of My Mad Fat Diary for Channel 4. And then on to things like Catherine the Great with Helen Mirren for Sky and HBO, shooting in Lithuania, Latvia and Russia. Then on to, again, something I'm incredibly proud of, Glasgow for many months, shooting the BAFTA award-winning drama Guilt. So producing such a massive range of stuff. And that route is quite unusual, from the BFI to Baywatch to Babs to Helen Mirren. It is quite an unusual route, but fundamentally it is the route that you would take from a runner up through the various levels of producing and now series producing on You Don't Know Me. I also run my own company, which is now starting to see concrete development of a couple of projects. You see how hesitant I am. Making stuff of your own does take longer. It's taken me 4 years to get to the point of developing some of these projects, but that is the next step for me, and that is very exciting. I think the route through and the industry has changed since I came into the industry a long time ago, but the skills required are still the same. Communication, it's a communication industry. Collaboration, teamwork, creativity, patience. I think now I would really flag things like honesty, transparency. You need to be able to prioritize, you need to be able to time keep, and you need to be passionate. I mean, many of these attributes apply to any job that you do, but certainly in this industry, they're the things that I think have always been the case in order to get into film and television. So there are many first steps to getting into your career. It's really hard to be clear about a specific path. I'll probably sort of touch upon some of the later questions, which is, do you need a degree to get into this business? No. Do you need A-levels to get into this business? No. I mean, really, there are so many jobs, which I referred to earlier, that there are therefore so many ways of getting in. You can do a degree. You can do a degree in anything. It shows that you can apply yourself. It shows that you can do research. So that will always be useful. It doesn't, I work with many people who've done philosophy degrees, anthropology, all sorts of stuff, and they're directors or producers or writers or costume designers. So I wouldn't necessarily worry about having to do a degree in film. Of course, if you've done arts or English, there is that link between narrative and design and style, which will inform your career development, but you don't need a degree. I have a friend who's an incredibly successful production accountant in massive series, and she didn't do A-levels. She went straight through vocational courses. She went to accountancy college. So look at the vocational routes. If you could be working as an electrician, as a joiner, as a caterer. Vocational routes are definitely worth looking at. A degree will never do you any harm, but it's not the only route to go through. Really, the best way is to get experience, is to go out there and learn on the job. You can get dailies work, you can do work experience, and as I mentioned earlier, and I warned you I would come back to, it's about networking. It's about getting your name in somebody's address book, getting those many days of experience on the set, and then stepping up through the next stage. So it's an answer and not an answer. There is no clear route. If you want to do a degree, do a degree. It will only ever be of benefit to you in life. It won't harm your ability to get into this business. It won't necessarily give you a step on the ladder, but it will always be good. And also, I really would flag, as I said at the top of this presentation, do other stuff. Do other stuff that isn't just education or training. Do voluntary work. I've worked with some amazing people where the fact that they'd volunteered for the Samaritans on their CV is what had attracted me, because I thought, okay, if you can deal with that pressure, you can do this job. So think about your extracurricular activities and learn all these other skills and people skills. It's about communication. So it'd be very easy to be caught into the trap of working for nothing a lot. I would say be very cautious about getting onto too many forums and working for nothing. You have to know your self-worth. You have to know that in the collaborative industry that film and television is, everyone is benefiting from your input. So don't always feel that someone is doing you a favour by giving you the chance to work for nothing. Always try and get the minimum wage. We really should be paying that at all points in the industry. Once you get into TV drama or film that's funded, you would be looking at probably around £600 a week as a trainee rate. And then depending on what level you get to through your career, it can go up to ridiculous sums of money. I mean, £3,000 a week is at my point in my career, that's what I'd expect to be paid as a minimum. But I know everyone's sitting there thinking, oh my God, £3,000 a week. You're freelance. Majority of people in our industry are freelance. That means you are not guaranteed work all year round. So I could be earning £3,000 this week. I might not work for the next 6 weeks. So do the maths. So it can pay ridiculous amounts of money, but it is unpredictable, and that is something you have to be prepared for in this industry. You have to cash flow. You have to make wise decisions in terms of making your life work financially. I always think that the industry might change. It hasn't changed enormously. We're not looking at CGI actors or CGI characters. The industry is in a massive boom at the moment. We are desperate for people. I think at the moment, my figures might not be accurate, but I think film and television contribute £1 in every £12 to the economy. So it's a huge business, and we're always looking for people. The long-term opportunities are substantial. I've been in the industry all of my life, not all of my life, but ever since I was 21. and I'm now 52. So I think that gives some indication of the long-term options. There are people who choose to stay in one specific role through their career because they enjoy it. That's absolutely fine. Not just fine. I really love working with a second AD, for example, a second assistant director who wants to stay in that job because it means they're so good at it. They're not just looking at the next goal. But I also want to work with ambitious people. But there's so much ability to progress, not just through the ranks, but to different types of projects. So I can be a producer, but I can progress from doing a low budget drama to a £10 million an hour drama that's filming all over the world, and I'm working with different levels of actors and all sorts of stuff like that. So there's always progression in different ways. How much freedom does my career offer? Kind of depends what you mean. The working hours are so long. Work-life balance is very difficult in our industry, and you have to go into it with your eyes open. You are working theoretically 12-hour days in a lot of roles. In my role and in many departments, you're doing 14, 15-hour days, 5 days a week or 6 days a week. So in terms of work-life balance, it can be all-consuming. However, as I mentioned earlier, we're self-employed. So I might decide at the end of this job, in fact, I have decided at the end of this job, I've said to my agent, I don't want to work till January. I've done my maths, I've done my cash flow, looked at my mental health, looked at my life-work balance, and I'm not making myself available till January. So you have amazing flexibility in that regard. I also can choose not to work with people that I haven't enjoyed working with. I'm not in a job, I'm not stuck in the same job. Every day walking into the canteen thinking, oh, it's that person. I do the job for 6 months and I move on. However, I also point out that they might not be pleasant to work with because the industry is changing and we need to be sort of shouting at that kind of behaviour. But I can move on myself, I can make that choice. One thing I've mentioned a lot is working out which area of the industry you want to work in, and a fantastic website to look at is Screen Skills. Screen Skills gives a list of every single job pretty much in the industry, and you can go through and see exactly what that job entails, how you might get into that job. They also have a huge amount of free training. You can just register and do lots of courses, including things like how to manage your money, how to network. The two things that I've mentioned a lot during this talk. It's an incredibly valuable site, and I would suggest that is one of the very first sites that you go to just to get a sense of what the jobs are. There are so many jobs. On a film, I have 85 plus crew, so you can imagine the variety of jobs there are in that. BAFTA, you'll have heard of BAFTAs. BAFTA Guru have a website as well, and they equally give a fantastic breakdown of all the different jobs, plus lots of amazing masterclasses from people in those jobs. Famous people, not famous people, but people incredibly respected by their peers, incredibly respected by the industry, who really know their stuff. So you could sit for days and watch these masterclasses on BAFTA Guru, and I'd strongly recommend that you do so. Another really useful site, I'm really only going to give 3 at the moment in terms of the information for what jobs you want to do, is Creative Access. Creative Access come from predominantly supporting underrepresented groups, and again they show a huge amount of information on what you can do, opportunities that are open to you as a newcomer to the industry. So really my 3 main places would be Screen Skills, BAFTA and Creative Access. Also, I would suggest that you look at BBC, ITV and Channel 4 websites because they have traineeships. The competition is incredibly high, as you might imagine, but have a look through these and see what the opportunities are, and also they'll give you an indication early on as to what kind of experience and qualifications they might be looking for. Go out and make stuff yourself as well. You just need a phone. Go out and show that you've got that vision and narrative. It doesn't mean you're going to be a writer or director, but it shows that you've got the passion to make stuff and watch stuff. The amount of times that I have people for interviews for a big series and I say, what are you watching at the moment that you like? And they don't know. So watch. If you want to make television, watch television. If you want to make film, watch film. I think those 3 places are the best places to start to get a sense of how many jobs are there, what job might be the one for me, and how do I progress in getting into that job. So people see television production as an incredibly glamorous job. It is in many respects. I always find myself hesitating. It's very hard work, very long hours, quite political, lots of voices. That's certainly the case as the industry changes, more exec producers, more funders and so forth. It is a very exciting job. I think the one thing that I'm constantly astounded by is the range of people that I've met all over the world. I can literally, if I have a problem, I know there's somebody in any country pretty much that I can get help from through my connections. And that is such an overwhelming benefit from the job. And travelling the world at somebody else's expense, actually travelling the world and being paid to do it. Walking into the Hermitage or Peterhof in St. Petersburg with nobody else there. Walking into St. Paul's with nobody else there. You know, we are so honoured. And I think quite often in film and television, we forget how lucky we are. And we never should forget that. It's such an honour to work in this industry in many ways, but it is hard work.